So turns out the NFL may not be so much against the brotherly shove after all. However, Buffalo defensive tackle Jordan Phillips can't stand Jason Kelce, while Nick Bosa put Jalen Hurts on blast. Plus, Zach Cunningham is fully confident on what to expect from Shaq Leonard. And what demand does Bradley Roby have for Sean Desai? But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Okay, so maybe we've been a little too negative recently. Therefore, let's start by saying Happy Hanukkah with Howie Roseman taking part in festivities in Love Park. And kudos to Howie for bringing in all the acquisitions he has, as the Eagles were at practice with a chance to see Shaq Leonard. But the best content I've seen all week was the Birds breaking news to Lane Johnson that he's a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee.
So Lane, this is a big deal.
You're crying. I'm not crying.
What?
Stop crying.
Thank you.
Alright, well, this unit is just special. Despite some of the recent criticism, and maybe well-warranted, I'm confident in the O-line getting their swag back. One piece they already got back was lineman Brett Toth, after Philly announced Brett Toth was signed to the practice squad and they released O-lineman Ross Pierschbacher. Yeah, I know that's probably not making a major difference one way or the other. However, one acquisition that we're all hopeful pays dividends is Shaq Leonard, where we got to see him for the first time after the Eagles moved indoors due to the rain, sleet, and snow mix in Philadelphia. And Shaq was working a good bit with linebacker coach DJ Elliott, as the former All-Pro has said he spent extra time this week learning playbook and techniques so that he can make an impact as soon as possible. And Zach Cunningham couldn't stress enough the impact he expects his former AFC South rival to make.
I think he's a great player. He's been quick on learning the defense. I mean, he should be able to get acclimated to it really quickly.
How much you guys helping him?
I mean, a lot. I mean, we have to. It's got to be that if we want him out there. I mean, we need him out there.
Crash course this week.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
Again, we know we need the help. By the way, for those wondering, Cunningham said the hamstring is feeling good after injuring it in the Buffalo game, and he fully expects to play versus Dallas, which is obviously great news, but hopefully Sean Desai is able to scheme up the solution for the Cowgirls. Which I've talked about before, but come on, we all know what CeeDee Lamb did to us last time, but that should be a main focal point to slow him down now. And that's exactly the demand nickel corner Bradley Roby had for Sean Desai, saying, I told coach at practice, I need some more rocks at practice, man, because it's just about playing football. It's about making plays and making more plays than you give up. I love opportunities like this. I look forward to games like this because this is football at the highest level. Cowboys versus Eagles, playoffs on the line, number 1 seed on the line, all this type of stuff. This is what you play for. And yeah, honestly, I'm fine with that. Let's match up Roby on Lamb as much as possible because whatever we did last time didn't work. I know the end justifies the means and all that, but you can't deny we looked helpless in the secondary most of the time, particularly against Lamb. Of course, Roby also went on to allude that we are going to see changes like other players have echoed throughout the week. So hopefully that results in slowing down the Dallas offense. By the way, a reminder that Roby wasn't healthy for the first matchup against the Cowboys, so I'm excited to see what kind of difference he makes. But what do you guys expect to see from the 31-year-old? I should point out the noteworthy absence was Slay, who's been dealing with a knee but did miss practice, so we'll keep an eye out, although I'm not really worried. The best part is that Dallas Goedert's raring to go and looks about 100% if he isn't there already, which yeah, we all know is definitely a benefit. Yet in case you didn't realize how big of a benefit it is, Brendan Deeg shared that Jalen Hurts with Dallas Goedert is 69% completion, 97 passer rating, and 7.5 yards per attempt. Without Goedert, it's 59%, 84 passer rating, and only 6.6 yards per attempt. Plus, if you believe in this sort of thing, we may have the refs on our side, since according to Eagles Nation, John Hussey will be the head referee for Sunday's game against Dallas. Naturally, fantastic news since the Birds are 7-0 when he referees, including last year's Monday Night Football game versus the Cowboys and the NFC Championship game, where Philly was penalized just 6 times compared to 21 times for their opponents over those 2 contests. Now, of course, I don't believe in any sort of script or game fixes or referee help. However, Dallas apparently does because to combat that, they literally brought refs out at their practice this week to butter them up.
Hey, it feels weird sitting here. It feels like it's a bribe. It is a bribe.
All right, well, is that really surprising? I mean, something's got to give, especially with it being Dallas week and the Cowboys not having lost over their past 14 games at home, resulting in former Cowboys receiver Dez Bryant making the terrible decision to agree to a $10,000 bet with Deshaun Jackson and Jackson's monkey Philly that the boys would beat the Birds.
Spent a lot of dough. A lot of dough. Wow.
Well, congrats to Djax because you're about to start out retirement $10,000 richer, but yeah, that's a little pricey for me too. Yet I'd encourage you to grab the 3.5 on Philly, or heck, even the money line with those odds. Also a heads up that I've got a link in the description for an automatic bonus funds for those if you haven't used BetMGM. Of course, whether you decide to bet it or not, be sure to take note of all the doubters and let them hear it when we win. Like the 33rd team loved to point out, Dallas has beaten the Eagles 5 straight times in Jerry World. Oh yeah, and the entire ESPN crew's rocking with the Cowgirls this week, which I think most of us know that's the kiss of death. However, I'm in agreement with Colin Cowherd for why we should have all the confidence going into this matchup.
Philadelphia got beat by their primary rival, like Brady did twice in 1 year by the Saints, like the Rams did McVay Stafford twice in 1 year by the Niners, and like Kansas City did last year with their 2 primary rivals, Cincinnati and Buffalo. Philadelphia is fine. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. They have absolutely nothing to worry about. This idea, recency bias, standalone big games that Philadelphia is no good is insane. The last 2 years in the league, the surest thing, the most consistent thing, isn't that Mahomes would be great. He had bad weekends. It was that Philadelphia would win a football game. But even the greatest pitchers in high leverage moments, inning after inning, eventually snap. Philadelphia is going to be just fine. I, and maybe I alone, like them to beat the Cowboys this weekend.
I don't know. It just feels like one of those games we're going to answer back and win. Although if you listen to the 49ers, specifically Nick Bosa, a.k.a. Lane Johnson's baby son, then Dallas has a great shot because Hurts is kind of overrated.
Obviously, we put the blueprint out there. Hopefully, Cowboys watch the tape. We made Jalen stay in the pocket and escape outside instead of those B gaps, and paid off. Because Jalen's looking at the rush every play. So yeah, you just have to be disciplined and not give him that quick escape route where he could get to his guys quick. And it paid off.
I'm sorry, but if you guys want to keep doubting Jalen, then just go right ahead, since Jalen is second in the NFL in passer rating inside the pocket over the last 2 seasons. Now, obviously, we need to play with some more intensity than we did last week, and I've already talked about that recently, along with AJ confidently saying the problem's been fixed. And I know this may sound crazy, but I'm actually cautiously optimistic that the coaching will be better too. Okay, you're right, it can't get much worse. But also something I ran across and wanted to point out, yet I know nothing's going to change this drastically, but the Eagles rank dead last in using motion at the snap on run and pass plays. And sure, I'm not asking us to get up there with the Miami numbers. However, at least a little more motion and trickery in the offense couldn't hurt. Plus, we've seen it work on more than a couple occasions. But really, however you slice it, I think it just comes down to want to and physicality Sunday. Although according to Buffalo defensive tackle Jordan Phillips, that physicality is Jason Kelce taking cheap shots.
You look at the tush push, he dives at somebody's knees every play and tries to roll him up. So for him to speak on somebody being dirty, I don't think he has any right or any means to call for a fine when he does a whole bunch of stuff. So I just think that's kind of crazy for him to even mention that. I'm 335 pounds. How am I going to stop regardless? How do I know that the ball wasn't going? After I saw him move, I put my eyes on him, and I'm going to go. Even if they would have got that play off, it's just either them hitting us or us hitting them. Like, you can dish it out, obviously, but you can't take it. So that's just soft. He is a well-respected guy around the league for whatever reason. And now he suddenly has a voice because he's on his brother's podcast and whatnot, so he thinks he can use it. But the way he's using his voice, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, honestly, what kind of delusion do you have to make that kind of statement? I mean, that's right up there with David Carr saying earlier this week that the Eagles need to bench Jalen Hurts for Marcus Mariota. But I guess Sexy Batman clearly struck a nerve, since if you don't recall, Kelce had called out Phillips last week for his legitimate cheap shots.
I thought it was bullshit at the time. I really did. And I said so to the official on the field. I said, listen, I've been running that play a lot of years. I have seen people jump off sides. He made zero effort to stop after he jumped off sides. I don't know Jordan Phillips. He might be the best guy in the world. But that, in my opinion, the NFL needs to do something about.
Look, maybe my Kelly Green glasses are biased, but to say Jason's soft and a well-respected guy for some reason, like you don't know, plus now has a voice thanks to Travis, is ludicrous. Like, this is the same dude who played through a torn knee, broken foot, and torn elbow in the same season and still made All-Pro. Oh yeah, and has raised millions for the city of Philadelphia and the Eagles Autism Foundation. And okay, I'm a fan of Travis, but in what world did Jason not have a voice beforehand? I don't know, I guess it should make sense though, since this is the same dude who lied about Philly fans threatening his family, which caused him to retaliate.
And then You deliberately hurt my feelings.
This dude's just honestly butthurt, and I'm sorry, but the truth hurts sometimes, Jordan. Like Andrew, who was sharing the truth, saying, funny how Kelce's been in the league for 40 years and nobody's ever said this. I'm a Washington fan, and I can tell you Jordan Phillips is capping. For real. And don't even bring up the brotherly shove or how Jason Kelce's diving at people's knees. However, since I mentioned the tush push, I should share that despite rumors initially suggesting that NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell wanted to ban the play, NFL executive Jeff Miller said those reports aren't true, and Goodell has no position on it. He will let the competition committee decide its fate this offseason. Again, that's good news, and you guys know I've talked about this on several shows, but to take a comment from Sirianni previously,
they can't do it like we can do it. And so I'm making my plug right there, like, don't ban this play. Like, if everyone could do it, everybody would. Where's the camera? If everybody could do it, everybody would do it.
I'm just saying, it's not like it's a cheat code for the rest of the league, but how are you guys feeling on this? And honestly, I'm probably more curious to get y'all's thoughts on Christian Elliss after the Birds released the 24-year-old linebacker, which I thought was at least kind of strange since it seemed like Ben Van Sumeren would have been the more realistic option there. But nonetheless, that's who they went with. However, the larger impact is that Elliss didn't make it through waivers, with the Patriots claiming him to their roster. Now sure, the Pats aren't having a good season by any stretch, yet like Phil Yates pointed out, Elliss was an extremely popular player on waivers as 6 teams put in claims on him in the Patriots, Cardinals, Titans, Falcons, Broncos, and Dolphins. I mean, is it just me or does it feel like this may be one of those decisions we come to regret later on down the road? Hold on, I'm not saying Elliss was the answer because we got plenty of opportunities to make up our mind there. But if 6 other kids at the playground wanted this guy on their team, it doesn't give me the best feeling about cutting him, even if he was only going to be a special teams player. Fortunately, it probably doesn't mean too much in the short term, and we got to get ready for Dallas. But let's hear those score predictions. I'm going to go with Philly 34-31. This has been the Philly Special.